By virtue of the authority conferred on me as Vice-Chancellor, I constitute this Assembly a congregation of the University of Cape Town.
Please remain standing for the national anthem. Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to invite Gloria Chikahondu, the Student Representative Council Chair for International Students, to read the university dedication.
Good morning, everyone. At this time of celebration, we, the members of the University of Cape Town, reaffirm our mission to nurture rational and creative thought and free inquiry, to strive for excellence in teaching and research, to educate for life, and to address the challenges of our society. We undertake to advance these ideals in a spirit of freedom and responsibility, and through consultation and debate. We celebrate our founders, benefactors, and predecessors, those who have built the fabric and nourished the values of UCT. To those of you who will graduate today, we wish courage, wisdom, and purpose. To those who will leave the university to learn and work elsewhere, may you be sustained by those values which unite us here today and advance them in the world beyond. A love of truth and of learning and of this, our university. Thank you.
Please be seated. Soprano Nomsam Pofu, who graduated herself last week, performed Omeo Babino Karu from Gani Skigi by Puccini. She was accompanied by Yuhan Chan, who recently won the Fine Music Radio Bursary Award. Organist Neil Robertson, accompanied by the National Anthem, which was led by the students from the South African College of Music. And the South African College of Music is a department of the University of Cape Town. I think many of you might not know that. The processional march music was performed by Black Roots Marimbas, led by the African music student Sky Glata. I think we can give them another hand of applause. So let me give you an official welcome and good morning. It gives me indeed a great pleasure to welcome you on this auspicious and joyous occasion on behalf of the University of Cape Town. Graduations are joyous events and affairs for everybody. The graduands, their parents, family, friends, and the staff which teach them. For everybody then, it is a day marked by a sense of achievement and an atmosphere of celebration. For many in the audience today, the event marks the culmination of a great deal of hard work and in many cases, sacrifice. So I just would like to say well done. UCT strives not only to transfer or confer a degree, but a degree that is embedded in a set of values that hopefully will set our graduates apart. Those are the values of critical inquiry, the receptiveness to alternative ideas that it engenders, to service, to social responsiveness, and also that of integrity. So I would like to extend my hearty congratulations to all our graduates this morning. And the message that I can just leave with you is to go out there and to make our country, our continent, and our world a better place. Anne Imbongi is a composer and an orator of poems of praise. Limbongi offers critical commentary and narrative on the state of society through their Izibongu. Here to offer a poem of praise and Umbongu in honor of the graduates, their families, and teachers is Sange, an African music student from the South African College of Music.
Ndibona ingubo ezimphethe ngobani nabanxiba imikukumbelo amabalabala kuthi mandigide kuthi mandombele kuthi mandityityibe kaloku namhlanje imini yokuhleka isichazo lokuvelela lokugqibela ngigithekani kaloku nihlale nilale ngemicala ngoba kaloku namhlanje ivuthiwe ibhizi likathi phekwa uvuthiwe kaloku mqayithani mqala ginyu uzawuginya ewe kaloku siyabulela ngokuba nifundisekile nade nafikelela kweli nqanaba nifikelele kulo singabashiya njani nabazali nezalamane ngathi ndiyabona sonkalo zobumele abelili imini nobusuku bexakwe zincwadi akushukuxeka ipokotho kuphela nepene epokothweni sithi phambili ngokuxhasa imfundo seningayeka ufundisa isizwe sakowethu hambani niye kwelo lizwe ningasiphoxi kaloku ngoba nililizwe ligcwele izirhalarhume ezirhalayo seningadyobheki bantakwethu seningosuleleki bantakwethu hayi bafondini niyewenza umsebenzi wenu ninxibe kaloku ezi zambatho zimbetshambetshe nade nosulela
Thank you very much. I'm going to call on the orator, Marion Jacobs, to present the background on the honorary degree. Marion Jacobs.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the award of the degree Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, Francis Aylmer Hunter Wilson. You have been a refuge for the poor, a refuge for the needy in their distress, a shelter from the storm, and a shade from the heat. This verse from the book of Isaiah in the Bible captures the focus of the life, the work, and the impact of Francis Wilson, a UCT economist of great distinction, who over more than 40 years has made unique academic contributions to promote social change for good in our country. His journey at UCT started in physics, interestingly with Professor George Ellis. And after a doctorate at Cambridge, he resumed his appointment at UCT in the economics department, from which he has made distinguished contributions as professor, now Emeritus Professor of Economics, as a university fellow, as the university orator, as Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Poverty and Inequality, and even as President of the Heritage Society. And much, much earlier, he was one of the 4 W's, the others being West, Wild, and Wilson, who initiated the Lecturers Association. But it is as an academic pioneer that he's brought great credit and honor to the university through the focus and also through the conduct of his academic endeavors and leadership. First was his seminal work on labor in the gold mines and on the exploitation of migrant workers. Not only satisfied with just being a researcher and writing peer-reviewed publications, to better understand this world of migrancy, he not only studied migrant labor in India, but also worked as a migrant labor in France for several months, sustaining his family on laborers' wages and day by day placing 172 screws on each of 17 trucks. So, his second contribution was the founding and leadership of the South African Labour Development Research Unit in 1974, and the expansion of his role beyond researcher to not only convener of large national processes on farm labour, on health, on poverty and inequality, which resulted in prolific outputs, but also and especially as mentor to the many academic waifs and strays who found their way into SALDRO, where they consolidated their knowledge and skills and found their feet. SALDRO's alumni have made extraordinary contributions to South Africa as academics, economists, bankers, trades unionists, cabinet ministers, a premier, and even a UCT vice-chancellor. With the support of Lindy Wilson, documentary filmmaker, intellectual, critic, and inspiration, and with the late Dudley Horner joined firmly at his hip, Francis' genius was always to recruit and retain the right people to sustain it, and through his and Dudley's creation of a space for meeting, thinking, debating, doing. His third major contribution was leadership of 2 large inquiries into poverty and inequality, Carnegie 2 in the early 80s and towards Carnegie 3 30 years later. And in 2016, Francis Wilson is still playing a pivotal role in the emerging Mandela Initiative, which continues to inform South Africa's development planning. Beyond the academic insight and rigor which guided these 2 inquiries, his skill in marshalling funding, as well as harnessing and especially respecting contributions based on the knowledge, the insights, and the lived experience of scholars and activists, academics and students from all over South Africa has been truly extraordinary. Beyond South Africa, recognition of Francis Wilson's scholarship and influence in the field of poverty research has led to his appointment as chair of the Scientific Committee on Poverty of the prestigious International Social Science Council, as well as numerous appointments as a visiting professor or fellow at a number of distinguished institutions and universities across the world. Jawaharlal Nehru in India, Sussex and Oxford in the UK, Harvard, Princeton, and Yale in the US. And yet back home, he remains committed to his greatest joy, which is teaching. And he expresses this passion at seminars now held at Hunterstown, the old family home in the Hogsback, which could one day actually become the Bellagio of Africa. But his impact hasn't ended in academics, for his public service has known few bounds, including as monitor of our first democratic elections, service on the National Water Advisory Committee, and also on the Anglican Board of Education. And for almost 10 years, he served as chair of the Council of Fort Hare, where in one of his early engagements, he surprised an audience of staff, academics, and students and fellow council members by addressing them in fluent isiXhosa, thus replacing Afrikaans as the language used by his predecessor, the then former Chief Justice of the former Transkei. But what then are the influences that have shaped the life and contributions of this extraordinary academic pioneer and proponent of social justice? The first is his heritage. By his own account, Francis Wilson was born with a golden nib in his mouth. His dad, Godfrey Wilson, was a highly accomplished anthropologist whose research focused on social change in Africa with a special interest in mining. And his mom, Monica Wilson, was also a brilliant social anthropologist from the Eastern Cape, who shared Godfrey's interests and passion and held academic appointments at Fort Hare and Rhodes before being appointed as Professor of Anthropology at UCT. She was notably the first woman to hold a full professorship in South Africa. Here she spent almost 20 years, and her contribution has been commemorated in the donation by her sons of the beautiful liquid amber trees which now line University Avenue. With both parents as gifted anthropologists sharing a passion for Africa and a deep concern for social justice, the genealogy was in place, the stars were aligned, and the course of the young Francis was set. But the second influence is his deep rootedness in the Eastern Cape, where he and his brother Tim lived with their mother Monica in the women's residence at Fort Hare. Here he grew up with families like those of the late Professor Z.K. Matthews and the Bokwe's, and later he went to school at St. Andrews in Grahamstown. Still later, he made lifelong friendships with Eastern Cape members of the Black Consciousness movement, like Barney and Dimsa Patiana, Malusi and Toko Pulwana and Steve Biko. And also, as he grew up with families like those of the late Professor Z.K. Matthews and the Bokwe's, who have remained lifelong friends. The third influence in his life is his strong faith, which was nurtured in the student Christian movement and through friendships with people like Brigalia and Fikile Bam, and the late David Russell, with whom he, his brother Tim, and others once undertook a 30-day walk from Grahamstown to Parliament in a pilgrimage of penance to raise white consciousness about the unbiblical, unjust, and egregious practice of migrant labor in those dark years. And yet, in a strange way, UCT has been so privileged to host him as a migrant worker from the Eastern Cape for more than 40 years. Heritage, the Eastern Cape, Black consciousness, white consciousness, and faith have clearly converged as some of the most powerful influences on Francis' life and his practice in academia and elsewhere. But that's not all. And to end, the fourth influence is his love of family. Godfrey and Monica, Tim and Ilse, the Bums, the Bikos, the Bokwe's, and people like Archie Mafeje, who regarded him and Tim as his cousins, and who Francis actually taught to drive on his mom's borrowed car. Love of family runs strongly through his life, extending right into his UCT family of Saldro, and it is most profoundly expressed through his deep love for Lindy, their children David, Jessica, and Tanya, and also Hannah and Julian. Vice-Chancellor, the role of academia in public health and social change continues to be debated, raising questions such as whether researchers should share their knowledge and whether intellectuals should engage with the public. These questions have never been issues for Francis Wilson. He holds the firm belief that the purpose of a university is to provide good coffee. Because around the drinking of coffee, conversations can take place, ideas can be generated, and things can happen. With this belief, his academic practice over more than 4 decades has been to provide good coffee, and especially to make things happen by creating and applying knowledge to shape society. In so doing, in unique and profound ways, he continues to play his part towards creating social justice as an engaged and remarkable scholar of great distinction. Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to invite you to admit to the degree of Doctor of Letters honoris causa Francis Aylmer Hunter Wilson.
I would like to thank the Orator, which is Emeritus Professor Marion Jacobs. Marion Jacobs was also the former Dean of the Faculty of Health. Thank you, Marion. It's now my pleasure to ask Emeritus Professor Francis Wilson to be our guest speaker this morning. And to do his talk. Thank you, Francis.
Vice-Chancellor, thank you all. Got to put on my glasses. I want to talk today particularly to the students, the graduands, congratulating you on being here, and it's a great day in your lives and in mine. Roads must fall. One simple, non-violent, but highly symbolic action, not 200 meters from here, managed to ignite a public debate which has moved the public consciousness about our past from apartheid to colonization, from dealing not only with the impact of 20th century Afrikaner nationalism, but also with the complex and far-reaching consequences of Dutch and British colonialism. This is a most welcome shift, for the ambiguity of his character was such that despite being the father, the godfather perhaps, of South Africa's Industrial Revolution, despite being a major benefactor of UCT and founder of the world's most famous scholarship program, the bottom line is that Cecil Rhodes is the most potent symbol of the cutting edge of British imperialism as it expanded aggressively into the African subcontinent in the 19th century with the conquest of occupied land and the establishment of the oscillating migrant labor system as its two most visible manifestations. And so we have to grapple with the ambiguity of South African history. There is a new map based on the 2011 census, which shows the well-being of households in every small data zone throughout the country. One glance shows that most of the poorest areas lie within apartheid's Bantustans. This is no accident, for South Africa's migrant labor system was developed after conquest by the mining industry from 1867 and expanded by apartheid from 1948. For more than a century, the growing economy generated poverty in the areas from which the miners came, at the same time as it accumulated wealth in the cities and commercial farms. Add to this the Calabar of 1893, the Land Act of 1913, and the fact that compulsory primary education for white children was introduced 100 years before black children, and one sees the deep roots of today's color-coded poverty and inequality. Yet we recognize that the mission schools of Lovedale, Heeltown, Tigerkloof, and others, which produced the Mandelas, Sobokwes, Tambos, Seretsikamas, Gausitwe Chiepis, and others, who led the emancipation of Southern Africa from the racist shackles of the past, were established by the same empire whose guns defeated Makoma, Hinsa, Cetshwayo, King Sekhukhune, and, let us not forget, Paul Kruger. As South Africans, we inherit an incredibly complex, painful, and difficult history. There is much that we would wish to change in our past, but the arrow of time moves in only one direction. We cannot go back. You know the story of the Irish peasant who, asked by the driver of a passing car for the directions to Galway, replied, "If you're wanting to get to Galway, I wouldn't be starting from here." But we have to start from here now. A population of some 55 million persons, 10 times as many as they were at the beginning of the 20th century, speaking 11 different official languages, with a fountain of rich literature and a range of music that is the envy of the world, but also an inheritance of massive unemployment, poverty, and inequality. In 1993, the level of unemployment, including those who wanted work but were too discouraged to continue looking for it, for all South Africans averaged 33%, while for young black Africans it was 65%. That was in 1993. By 2014, 1/3 of all South Africans who wanted work still could not find it. Poverty has been slightly reduced, but the level of inequality has deepened. In a society with too great a degree of inequality, Raymond Aron has reminded us, human community is impossible. And this is the seismic fault underlying South Africa today. In the words of Frantz Fanon, the fundamental duel which seemed to be that between colonialism and anti-colonialism, and indeed between capitalism and socialism, is already losing some of its importance. What counts today, the question which is looming on the horizon, is the need for a distribution of wealth. Humanity must reply to this question or be shaken to pieces by it. So what is to be done? Essentially, there are two choices. The first is the use of sustained violence to break down all the structures considered to be obstacles on the road to a just society. This is a chilling option, not only because of the fragility of institutions, not least universities, very fragile, that can take generations to build, but also because it is the path to civil war, a sure road to misery and destruction for all. Consider the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s, Rwanda in the 1990s, or Syria today. Let us not belittle the great achievement of 1994, but the ANC, led by Nelson Mandela, was able to negotiate a fundamental shift in political power based on a universal franchise with human rights protected by a strong constitution. This is the heritage left to us by all those who fought and were whipped, jailed, tortured, and killed in the struggle for freedom during the long oppressive years of the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. We must protect it. The deliberate burning of buildings, of schools, of libraries must be prevented at all costs. But the anguish, the anger, and the frustration that lies behind such actions have to be consciously acknowledged and ways found to remove the causes. A shift in political power is not enough. Economic transformation to match the political democratization of 1994 is urgent. The mess that we have inherited has to be faced head-on. For example, there's a network of universities, of which UCT is an active member, working with government, business, NGOs, and unionized workers on an initiative combining research, dialogue, and action, seeking to find effective strategies, including new policies, to overcome poverty and inequality. One major function of universities is to be sites of robust intellectual debate about challenges facing society. And this is the challenge to all students graduating in South Africa today. Much is expected of you. You are now the best educated members of a new generation who will take our country and this continent into the future. This is the week in which, 40 years ago, young scholars walked out from their schools to demand better education. It was a cause for which they were prepared to die, as hundreds of them did, over the next decade. Education is fundamental in building the capacity of this country to overcome the poverty and inequality which cripples us. How do we create an educational system, particularly at primary and secondary level, as well as vocational training for school leavers, that does not betray the sacrifice of the 1976 generation? But there is more than this. If we look at the 12 most southern countries of Africa and ask ourselves where each of them was in 1960 and where each hoped to be 50 years later, we find that many which were hopeful have failed dismally, whilst two that had the worst prospects, Botswana and Mauritius, have done remarkably well. This is due to several factors, but common to all countries is one central fact: the quality of leadership. It is this which will determine where South Africa will be 50 years from now. There is need for a radical creative vision beyond the gods that have failed, both on the left and the right. Eastern Europe has tried communism. North America has tried neoliberalism. The results have not been good for either ideology. It is your task to forge that new vision, not least in Southern Africa, and to bring it about. As a Russian revolutionary once said, what is needed are hearts on fire and heads on ice. The future is in your hands. Ungadinwa nangomso. Ningadinwa nangomso. Enkosi, I thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Francis, for that powerful message. I think a question that remains to our graduates as they leave the university this year would be to see how do we deal and address the issue of inequality and poverty, and what is each role, what will we be playing as an individual to be able to make a contribution to that challenge. And that's really the underlying message that our guest speaker has contributed this morning. Thank you again. Thank you very much, Francis.
We now move to the part of the ceremony where we confer the degrees. By virtue of the authority conferred upon me, I admit to the degrees specified the candidates who are recorded as graduating in absentia. I shall now admit to the degree specified the candidates to be presented to me by the Deans.
Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the Advanced Diploma in Business Project Management, Greg Aaron Gelb. For the degree of Bachelor of Business Science in Actuarial Science, Ismail Adams. Ingrid Leanne Alga. Fidaus Aziz. Sauri Behari. Leo Brace. Angelica Dimitra Caveras. Ryan Delang. Christine Louise Forbes. Kadraven Goinden. Matthew Jade Green. Mohammed Nawaz Hassim. Nicole Holder. Cameron John MacDonald Hudson. Nondumiso Chelsea Kumalo. Anthony James Leck. Ashley Samantha Lemkas. Vuyo Takalani Makuva. Candice Merilu. Chong Yi Men. with distinction in actuarial science, statistics, and a degree with distinction, Ashraf Mullah. Israel Kasonsole Mkungu. Sinovuyo Ndaleni. Taine Lufuno Neshitenze. Vishal Rama. As we fairly Christmas Rashfeti. With distinction in mathematics, Simon Walter Rigby. Jessica Ellen Roberts. Sajio Shyam. Darren Angelo Solimene. Shivan Scudio. Catherine Jane Steers. Luke Philip Rajesh. In management studies, Lukea Abruif. Kauta Abraham. Sarah Megan Acton. Jamie Andrensi. Fifi Afau Akins. Michael Jacob Al-Hedef. Dominique Celeste Alves. Jed Ariston. Noran Bandeka. Wasem Basedian. Fahad Bassa, James Randall Bassett, Andrew Frederick Baylis, with distinction in management, accounting, and taxation, Matthew Baker, Robert John Beckwith, Benjamin James Beckham, Ross Benwith, Ryan Belowitzis, Samantha Camela Berinato, Matthew Bruce Berry, Suvira Boda, Alexander Michael Bauta, Caitlin Lee Braby, Kyle Warrington Brown, Matthew Kent Baden, Rolly Ian Baniester, Mahadia Yakub Bax, Christopher Kevin Kashu Chambo, Amara Chand, with distinction in financial reporting, finance and management accounting, Lucas Anthony Stereo Charalambos, Lu Chen, Adeline Chetty, Rhys Chittenden, Molefi Modikwe Joani. With distinction in finance and financial reporting, Glenn Eric Chale. Sheikh Shutragan. Adrian Kutsea. Christine Ann Collins. Helen Alexandra Cometis. Megan Ann Cook. Sean Paul Cox. Sarah Alexandra Kronholt. Simon Davis Curtis. With distinction in corporate governance and finance, Shaista Dabeila. Rebecca Catherine Fiona Dallas. Farida Davis. Bevan Peter de Kock. Justin William D. DeLand. Nathaniel Caleb Delit. Bavik Design. Yoshodan Dazia. With distinction in finance, Alexander Maxwell Dickerson. Matthew Diepenbrock. Sibabalue Perele Demaza. Adam Patson Dixon Warren. Notando Tonzoke Dlamini. Zaida Dolly. Sazi Kolani Dote. With distinction in corporate governance, financial reporting, and management accounting, Nicholas Christopher Douglas. Getika Dawood. With distinction in corporate governance, Andrew Mark David Doyle. Amanda Jane Dry. Chelsea Jed Duffield. Bardette Dupree. Kimberly Peg Dutch. Matthew Carl DeSalle. Ariella Mignon Epstein. Gina Lee Espil Jones. Kim Ann Falconer. With distinction in computer science and degree with distinction, Craig Feldman. Georgia Nicole Stein Fernandez. Monique Ferreira. With distinction in management accounting and financial reporting, Angela Ross Fetting. With distinction in finance, Alexander Patrick Finlay. Ryan Frem. Ross Alfred Friend. Emma Jane Frost. Mohammed Rashad Gamilidin. Robert James Gifford. Jonathan Mark Glick. Emma Meva Glenn. Stephen St. George Glenn. Jason Scott Godhill. Megan Victoria Goncalves. Trisha Gopal. Charita Govan. Dane Taras Govinda. With distinction in corporate governance, Delrisa Govinda. With distinction in financial reporting, Rolly Peter Grant. Joshua David Gray. Senze Umusa Amanda Gumede. James Peter Ho. Megan Lynette Hutt. With distinction in management accounting, Noreen Hassan. With distinction in financial reporting, corporate governance, taxation, management accounting, and finance, and the degree with a distinction, Caitlin Anna Howe. Paul Robert John Hewitt. Terrence Higgs. Kelly Mary Dunhill. Lee Sandisiwe Hilalo. Mbusi Siamtanda Hlongwane. Gregory Jared Holtz. Nusrat Muzaffar Hussain. Zach Humphreys. With distinction in taxation, finance, financial reporting, and corporate governance, Stuart Arthur Murray Ingledew. Sarah Frances Inskip. Shannon Eriton. With distinction in corporate governance, Julian Malaki Jackson. With distinction in marketing, Josie Marie Jansen. Sohail Jogi. Ryan Storm Jones. Steffi Jones. Jessica Joy Jordan. Awetu Kaf. Zainab Kagi. Lauren Natalie Khan. Ian Edmond Courier Kamande. With a distinction in financial reporting, corporate governance, management accounting, and finance, and the degree with a distinction, Nazir Abraham Kamda. Pinda Nsikelelo Kangeleni. Michael Joseph Karam. Akshay Shulesh Karan. Yusuf Ali Kabelka. Madeleine Castan. Mohammed Sohail Khan. Jody King. With distinction in information systems, James Marcus Kleweg. Dominic Peter Koenig. Camila Koke. Vutali Kone. Mamelo Pal Koneshe. Andrea Smoni Kopman. Selema Lulama Koti. Husang Kwag. Brent Lafley. Savannah Jade Lampbrick. James Russell Langen. Carolina Lanka. With distinction in corporate governance and financial reporting, Justin Mark Leliet. With distinction in financial reporting, Shannon Lenigan. Sichaba Lengane. Tamerlane Ashley Leong. Malebogo Oreholele Lefalo. Yo Hong Lin. Stephen Victoria Lockwood. Abe Zayla Lowe. Kiname Lowe. Kiran Leo. With distinction in finance, taxation, corporate governance, and financial reporting, and the degree with the distinction, Alessandra Thorogood Macmillan. Neval Maharaj. Nomvuzo Martin. Tatuhasi Lebohang Makbedu. Shabani Hilohani Makubela. Nonkwekwezi Matilda Isabel Mansana. Lungile Eleanor Manzini. Constantine Jacob Maratalas. Kevin Mashishi. Mushika Matthews. Taoleng Matibeli. Nshediseng Palesa Matla. Okay. Mukove Diana Matumba. Luyolo Mazomba. Kanyisa Banka. Pumudzeni Muhanerwa Mbelengwa. Matthew N. McAlpin.
I think we're just going to take a break now. Yeah. Can you hear me? I did promise you that we're going to have a leg stretch. I think it's your opportunity now. If you can just stand up, and we're going to have for 1 or 2 minutes, have a leg stretch.
No, I'm fine. When I take
Were you the physics or the Where did he do it? So you're a student of here?
All right, I think we have enough blood flow, so we can take our seats again. Thank you. Thank you.
Murray Stewart Whitley McDougall. With distinction in financial reporting, corporate governance and taxation, Lara Rodriguez Mendes. Jessica Gillian Melny. Siabonga Buhle Mukwanazi. Dineo Munesi. Zamile Paul Munesi. Riaz Ahmed Modak. Lingate Tebatso Mwerani. Mashad Mokase. With distinction in corporate governance, Tashio Nilesh Monhar. Andrew David Moore. Tuntuko Lisegu Velekosini Molefi. Kaylin Moodley. Bronte Lee Morton. Benjamin Josiah Moskoff. Sibusiso Mkwati. Palisa Samela Mutkulu. Tenswalo Lubabalo Mokansi. Cyrilla Molendi. Orator Muvalo. Edwin Masheru Mwangi. Sange Mkenge. Natasha Naya. Rafaela Faye Naya. Masonwabe Njosi. Jonathan Richard Stockton Nedham. Jacqueline Ann Nietling. Devon John Nell. Gary Nell. Alexandra Cecily Niven. Lindo Kuhili Njozela. Yolanda Tozama Nokuze. Relief Nonyani. Muskazi Mtintel. Mihali Mtabiseng Mtoi. Leroy Theophilus Tembani Nyahe. Siviwe Nyati. Chipo Maxil Nyonyi. Irma Regina Ogbona. Daniel Vincent Olvari. With distinction in corporate governance, management accounting, and finance, Alson Michelle Olivier. Kai Palmer. Akshay Kumar Pandey. Sarah Parker. Kelly Lane Payne. Sia Osin Peng. John Peverelle. Malilimalo Paswana. Paula Anne Phelps. Brandon James Pike. With distinction in finance, Aristotelis Pilakatas. Delene Pillay. Deshlin Pillay. Sanan Casavel Pillay. Viveshan Pillay. Andre Nicolas Pijot. Alexander George Pirro. Matabata Tabi Porpedi. Andrew Dale Price. Stephen Graham Price. Kimberly Ann Pringle. With distinction in marketing, Tanslin Sian Prinsloo. Luto Pumlum. Reshokeshwe Matasi Rachid. Tande Tandefika Lebogang Rabidebe. Duncan John Conway Rodston. Neshen Ramasa. Sehofaso Ramatlo. Nikita Ramdat. Suraj Prinati Ramlal. Galetume Matema Rampedi. Tumelo Baleseng Ramfaleng. Philpa Jean Roach. Dawood Ali Reut. Zakia Reut. Santuri Reddy. Kendall Remington. Devon Ricardo Reynolds. Michael Dennis Rex. With distinction in management accounting, Jessica Ann Rocky. Leandro Desmond Rodo. Zandri Rogers. Gregory John Rowan. Tegan Rowe. James Michael Rule. Samiera Sada. Rabi Tangvan Samkpot. son, Jesse Samuels. Itumeleng Simhe Sankloba. Lefa Mabisela Selepe. With distinction in finance, Krivani Solali. Deepika Supasad. With distinction in finance and management accounting, Sohili Supashad. Dean Smieza. Nombulelo Sivanda. Vuyo Kaya Akona Sidnile. James Pierre Singer. Virasha Singh. Leanne Smith. Courtney Jade Smith. Shan Jessica Smith. Sonia Solanki. Fahim Sura. Lubabalo Somlal. Nadia Sunday. Nolan Murray Steele. Matthew Paul Stelling. With distinction in corporate governance and finance, Katie Gemma Stephens. William Andrew Stephens. Asher Louis Stan. James Craig Strang. With distinction in management accounting and financial reporting, Nicholas Richard Stretch. Scott David Summers. Matt Bernard Sutcliffe. Ryan Matthew Tennis. Jumasande Tembisa. Stephen Bernard Theunason. Mashile Noko Tobejani. Reverend Edward Thompson. With distinction in finance, management accounting, and corporate governance, Chelsea Elizabeth Thompson. James Michael Britannicus Thorne. Matthew Andrew Thorington Smith. Mufundo Mulondi Twala. Richard Kemsley Tisman. With distinction in financial reporting, Hillel Tradonsky. Nicholas Stewart Tancliffe. Mohammed Zaid Bali. Kim Lee Vander Vehezen. Luther Fanzel. With a distinction in financial reporting and corporate governance, Jamie Whitney Vay. Ishan Veji. Vaishnav Vinoden. Derini Ashley Wegner Witters. Gail Slavia Waters. Beata Estley Wedderburn. Benjamin Ero Wena. Chen Gil Wenzel. Jason Douglas Wickty. Justin Andrew Williams. Michael Wilson. Timothy James Winter. Caitlin Wall. Nsikelelo Zenani. With distinction in management, accounting, and finance, Celso Adriano Zuccolo. For the degree of Master of Business Science in Marketing, Zenet Mauser. For the degree of Master of Commerce in Applied Economics, David Alexander Black. With distinction in the dissertation, Jing Woon Shen. Samantha Jane Shino. With distinction in the dissertation and the degree with distinction, Rupati Michael Ellis Brown. With distinction in the dissertation, Melissa Lube. Lerato Nzezewa. In economic development, with a distinction in the dissertation, Anauda Vanessa Dasamo. Jubilile Mpanza. Ntobeko Ndlovu. Benjamin Thomas Rafeti. In finance, Rishikeshi Alu. Now, Ulrich Darkock. In financial and risk management, Marcus Stewart Chatterton. Albertus Vinand Murray. Payne Morton van der Merwe. In financial management, Shean Aslam Abdurrahman. Thomas Francois Vargas. Carlos de Jesus. Amira Ismail. Siabonga Sibusiso Mutembo. Mandla Nyati. Douglas Lloyd Rawlings. Michael Arson. In information systems, Anissa Basha. Gloria Irakoze. Carl Jacobs. Patrick Kutesa Kayongo. David Machine. Memory Machiriza. Stephen Gavin Miller. Moipone Palisa Moipone Fahilel. Sabakwane Philmon Nebandona. Lulama Ntobande Ngobeni. Tammy Prisla Lumka Salantu. Paul van Ramsdorp. In investment management, Nicholas Gregg. Simon Lockhart Ross. Anthenkosi Magnam Mjebeza. Oscar Andia Muslika. Michael Alan Noakis. Neil Dion Pina. Candice Smith. With distinction in the dissertation, Justin Nair Swart. In marketing, Claire Bedian Volster. In organization psychology, Elizabeth Hendrika Ferreira. With the distinction in the dissertation and the degree with the distinction, Daniel Guiriski. With the distinction in the dissertation, Jacqueline Hart Davis. Terrain van Veck. In South African taxation, Philippa Elizabeth Britton. With distinction in the dissertation and the degree with distinction, Divanisha Pillay. Okay. With distinction in the dissertation and the degree with the distinction, Justin William van de Wava. With distinction, Brian Sean Flynn. In statistics, Musa Clive Marandla. In taxation, Stanley Andrew Browning. With distinction in the dissertation and the degree with the distinction, Louis Muller. Lindy van Veck. For the degree of Master of Philosophy in Development Policy and Practice, Quinton Keba Mageza. Pasi Fungai Makombe. Rakurumbira Munyarazi. With distinction in the dissertation, Mabin Nsupila. Takalani Edward Rathiaya. Sarah Sally. In mathematical finance, Hilmary Brandt. Linesh Modler. Patsezo Mutswali. With distinction in the dissertation and the degree with the distinction, Divanisha Pillay. With distinction in the dissertation and the degree with the distinction, Justin William van Dimava. Michael James van Kaysen. Fergus Wegner. Alexander Constantine Wellhock. With distinction in the dissertation and the degree with the distinction, Graham Zafoyo. In people management, Raphael Rutherford. Google Princess Vakeri. In program evaluation, Holly Jed Bradley. Helen Amelia Duplessis. Sarah Adeline Melton Goodyear. Jessica Holland. Gina Lee Joff. Meekness Lunga. Anja Kestin Mauder. Alicia Acheng Okeo. Elana Roof. With distinction, Brian Sean Flynn. Okay. Kai Toseth Scam. Matthew James Timothy Lindsay Snelling. Heidi Sandra Wichman. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Economics, for a thesis which examines the dynamic effect of two interrelated characteristics of low-income economies, commodity concentration of exports, and foreign exchange constraints on the behavior of key macroeconomic variables, Batha Chipo Bangara. In economics, for a thesis which introduces mathematical statistics models that predict new results and explain old ones in financial and economic decision-making in the presence of risk, Godfrey Charles Kadogani. In economics, for a thesis which establishes the usefulness of macroeconomic policy in maintaining a stable current account and develops a framework analyzing the dynamics of external balance and the relevancy of non-traded goods to the current account in new open economy macroeconomic models, Christine Selina Makanza. In economics, for a thesis which examines how trade costs and exposure to external competition affect product prices and market integration in Zambia, Del Sia Mulandalaba Mudenda. In economics, for a thesis which constructs a set of indices to show the importance of financial literacy in making effective use of financial products and shows the role of formal rather than informal financial products in the distribution of household well-being. Ruanga Elizabeth Nazari. In economics, for a thesis examining the impact of financial development on economic growth and the role of foreign banking inflows, inflation, trade, and financial openness in the financial system's development of ECOWAS and SADC, Mahawiya Sulemana. In information systems, for a thesis which uses action research to develop and validate an innovation and risk management framework able to manage the risks of new products and services in organizations that operate in high technology environment. Janine Yobet.
It's a long ceremony because we had so many great people to honor. 450 graduates today of all degrees. As you graduates, you become members of a special club, the Convocation of the University of Cape Town. You will be members of that convocation forever. You don't have to sign up. But as convocation, you play a special role. You are our ambassadors around the world, wherever you are, about the University of Cape Town. And you play a role in the governance of the university. You elect the Chancellor, who is Mrs. Grasser-Machel, currently the Chancellor. And you elect members of the Council of the University, which is the supreme governing body, and is the body which appoints the executives and which oversees the policy and the standards and the continuity and the reputation of the university. This degree, for you, its asset, and you'll understand what I mean when I talk about its asset value, is based on the reputation of the university. And we hope that you will remain actively involved with UCT through convocation and through supporting the university in the future, wherever you are. That you will form chapters of alumni, and the executives of the university, I myself, go around meeting chapters wherever they are in the world to ensure that we keep in touch with you. That just requires that you keep in touch with us through your email addresses, telling us when you move and where you've moved to, so that we can send you our newsletters, the ballot forms, and ensure that you remain part of this great community of the University of Cape Town. I'm sure that you will want to thank the people in the audience who have come to support you and have supported you throughout your careers to get you to this point emotionally, psychologically, financially. And I invite you, graduates, to stand up and make eye contact with the members of your families wave your scroll above your heads and shout your appreciation to them. And I'm sure you will agree with me that you could have not have gotten to this point without the support and the input from the lecturers and professors who've taught you over the years, represented by the Platform Party. I invite you to show your appreciation to the faculty of the university. And I do that. And I do that too. I want to, at this event, express my particular appreciation. This has been a tough year. We had to run 2 sets of exams in December and then in November and then again in January. It required significant sacrifices from the university staff, the faculty, and through a stressful period have given it their all to get our graduates to this point. I want to thank you again from the universities. And you may be surprised to learn that the staff of a university consists only 1/3 of academics. 2/3 are professional and support and administrative staff who organize this graduation and the student registrations and the financial aid and the residences, the security, the human resources. They are the enabling factors that enable the university to be a great university, and I want you to show your appreciation to them too. So congratulations again. Go out and celebrate. Have a great day.
So we have now come to the end of our ceremony. The congregation is requested to remain standing until the procession has left the hall. And we invite all the graduates and the family to join us for a function in the Leslie building. If you go down the stairs, just turn to your right and you will get to the Leslie building. We also ask the graduates when they go out is not to congregate on the steps, but go down to University Avenue so that everybody actually can leave the hall. I'm now going to ask the Vice-Chancellor to dissolve the congregation. Can the congregation please stand?
By virtue of the authority conferred on me, I now dissolve this congregation of the University of Cape Town.